We have had a tendency to kind of group books unintentionally, and I assure you, we don't plan that. But they just seem to fall together at the same time. I've been wanting to do a video on Shakespeare for a while. It just kept getting put off because of other things. Well, we finally did that, and that was put up a couple weeks ago. And then Emily recently wanted to read a book called Bones and Keeps, which is based on a portion of the Beowulf epic poem. So before reading Bones and Keeps, I wanted to go back and reread the original, because it's been a lot of years since I read that. And originally I read it in a verse version. This time I got my hands on the J.R.R. Tolkien translation. It's a prose version of Beowulf by Tolkien. And about less than a quarter of the book is the actual story. The rest of it is all his notes and lectures and writings about, because Tolkien was a professor specializing in medieval English literature, and Beowulf was, I think, his favorite, or at least the story that he was the most expert with. So he wrote this version of it, and this edition is one that is available from, I forget exactly what it's called. It's in England. They've been publishing nice editions of all the Tolkien books. I just got a hold of the Silmarillion, which was just recently released by them. A nice, beautiful, illustrated hardcover slipcase edition. And I got a hold of this because I wanted to reread Beowulf, and I wanted to get Tolkien's translation of it. So, in preparing for Bones and Keeps, I read the Tolkien prose translation of Beowulf. Okay, so Beowulf is an epic poem written in England, I think around 900 or 1000, or maybe as early as 700, way back, way early. And it has had a great deal of influence. It tells the story of a knight who comes and saves a town from the destruction being waged on it by a monster called Grendel. He slays Grendel, and then Grendel's mother has to be dealt with. And Grendel's mother is another huge monster, a sea creature. And he has to slay her. After doing that, he's given a kingdom, and he rules over a kingdom for many years, until his final battle with a dragon. Now, even if you read a prose translation by Tolkien, which is modern, and in more modern English, Tolkien still, he has his style that he wrote the Lord of the Rings, and Tolkien drew upon Beowulf for a lot of the Lord of the Rings, even to the point of using the term Middle Earth, which does come from Beowulf. So the Lord of the Rings was heavily influenced by Beowulf, and a lot of modern fantasy does draw upon Beowulf and the legends of King Arthur and the Iliad and the Odyssey and the Epic of Gilgamesh and story, Song of Roland and the Nibelungen Lied and Norse mythology, Greek mythology. Those are the original sources of inspiration of all modern fantasy. But Beowulf is one of them. and that makes it very important. It's an enjoyable read, but like I say, Tolkien's version and the poetic version that I read when I was young, they're not written in modern English. They're not written in simple language, in current language that's going to be easy to read. You got to work at it a little bit, but it's worth it. They're good stories, and they are the foundations of fantasy literature. If you love fantasy, even if you love science fiction, a lot of science fiction draws upon the themes in those old epic stories. So it's worth it to at least read it once. Check it out of your library, read it that way. If you don't want to spend money on a fancy book like I've got, go to the library. It's bound to be there. Read it. And think about it. Even if you don't like it, think about how it has influenced modern fantasy. And that will enrich your experience of reading fantasy literature. So, definitely a top tale. Definitely a great work of literature. And definitely an awesome fantasy story. Till next time, like us, subscribe to us, leave comments. We want to hear what you have to say about Beowulf or anything else, even stories that we haven't covered. Put it in our comments. Post stuff in our Telltale discussion group on Facebook. That's a place where you can go and talk about whatever you want. I mean, I'll delete it if it's not related to books, but otherwise, if you're talking about books, say what you want. It's your forum to talk. And I'll see you next time with Bones and Keeps with Emily. The two of us will review that one. Bye.